Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Top 5 Actions of Super Producing Agents, hosted by the Lonas Group and presented by Denise Lonas. My name is Shauna Knapp, CEO of the Lonas Group, and today Denise is going to be sharing the common actions she has determined are indicators of a successful real estate business. Our industry is full of great agents who are tired, burned out, and just one bad transaction away from quitting. But a better business is right around the corner if you can take these 5 actions and run with them. And now I'd like to present Denise Lonas. She's been helping agents and real estate professionals now for well over 2 decades. She's got an uncanny knack for quickly assessing what an agent needs to do to cultivate leads, develop their own specialty niche in the market, and take charge of their systems and processes. She's helped hundreds of agents achieve more than they ever imagined. And she's here today to share those stories and secrets and help you on your way to success. Welcome, Denise. We're excited to hear what you have to say today.
Hi, everybody. Well, I've got lots to say today because I have, over the last probably, 27, 28 years, I've probably done a lot, seen a lot, and I've had the great honor of working with so many different agents, and I'm just really excited to kind of share what I see as the common denominators. What are the common actions that really, really good agents take? What is it? What do they have in common? So first of all, I'm going to define a super producing agent. It's not just about an agent that makes tons of money. A super producing agent is an agent that has quality of life. They've got systems in their business. They work at a really efficient level. They're happy. They've got time for themselves and their families, but also they are respected by other agents. Other agents look at them and they kind of just have that, what are they doing right, or what are they doing different that I'm not doing? And that's really what I want to talk about today. So what are those things that you can be doing different? So first I want to talk about what I see the most of, okay? And what most of you listening, the categories you're going to fall into. So first of all, I want to talk about income insecurity. So what happens for most agents is they live in this feast and famine environment in real estate where they are constantly worrying about where is the next commission check going to come from. They have good years, they have not so good years. They have a lot of income stress, then they have moments of great income security. They've got a bunch of money. They've just closed a number of deals. But there's never that feeling that they know they can bank on, they can guarantee, they could ever really comfortably be able to say, I know next year I'm going to make X number of dollars. They don't really have a clear idea of what pillars of their business bring in what. So for example, in advertising and in marketing, if you run an ad, ads are absolutely rated based on the return of the investment of that ad. So if you send out 100 pieces of mail, or you send out, or perhaps you do 15 seconds of radio, what's the return on the investment? Whether it's TV, whether it's print, whether it's radio, whether it's online, everything has a rate of return. The problem in real estate and the problem with most agents is that they really struggle with knowing what their rate of returns are. So you suffer from income insecurity. When you suffer from income insecurity, the challenge that you have is that you oftentimes take business you should never take because you're desperate for a transaction, or you work with people you should never work with because frankly they don't deserve you, or they're too demanding, or sometimes they're verbally challenging and even on the borderline of verbally abusive. So having this income insecurity quadrant, it is probably one of the most detrimental, because if you don't know where your transactions are coming from, you just absolutely are constantly operating your business from a place of insecurity. The next quadrant, the next agent out there, and you, by the way, you could have one of these, you can have all 4 of these, you could have 2 of these. Most people kind of toggle between 1 and 2. So the next area of insecurity is presentation insecurity. You go on a listing presentation, you think you did a great job, you find out 2 days later you weren't chosen. You had great rapport, you think you presented amazing things, you think everything went well, but it didn't. And that's when insecurity creeps in, because if you have a bad presentation and you don't get it, then you understand why. You kind of go, oh my gosh, I didn't do a good enough CMA, I didn't answer the questions direct enough, they asked me how I was better or different than other agents, and I didn't really have something to show them. I could talk about it, but today people are visual, and I guess I just wasn't visual enough. So you can justify why you did not get that listing. But when you go in and you do a great listing presentation, or you have a great buyer interview and you don't get the client, then the question becomes, what did I do wrong? And that haunts you, and that sits with you, and that stresses you out, and it creates a great amount of insecurity. In today's competitive marketplace, you have to understand not how you present, but how the client wants to be presented to. Buyers and sellers today need to hear and see and experience certain things when they meet with you at a presentation. And if you're still doing the same kind of listing presentation you did 5 years ago, I can guarantee that you will lose listings, because today's consumer is very much interested in something quite a bit different than 5 years ago. So you have to get up to date on that presentation, and you have to really up your game. The next issue, this is huge, is lack of personal self-discipline. I cannot tell you how many great, amazing, talented, awesome, incredible, phenomenal, fabulous, just incredible agents I have an opportunity to work with. So why is it that they are not reaching their peak performance level? And it has to do with the fact that they lack personal self-discipline in 1, 2, 3, or more areas of their business. I have agents that I have worked with over the years that I've had managers say to me, oh, I'm really concerned about, or managing brokers say to me, I'm really concerned about an agent I have. Oh, and they're kind of shy, they're kind of quiet, they're kind of, they're really intellectual and really analytical, and they don't even really like people. I don't even know why they got in this business. Do you really think I should invest the energy into them? And I say, absolutely, because those agents don't lack personal self-discipline. They are very disciplined. And if you can teach them the right things to do in the business, and they do those on a consecutive basis, they can have great success. Now imagine if you were one of those awesome, terrific, amazing agents, can you imagine the kind of success that you can have? The next quadrant is this quality of life problem that so many agents have. And that is where you work. You take time off, but you're not really ever off. You never turn the off button. And it's kind of like your battery gets drained because it's never off. And it creates a huge problem in your life because you just don't have that balance. And when you don't have balance, you're not present. And when you're not present, people notice. So quality of life issues doesn't just mean, okay, you're off taking a fantastic vacation. Quality of life imbalance means that you're not present when you are with people. You're constantly checking the phone. You're leaving the dinner table because you just have to quickly return that email, or you're texting at the dinner table, or you can't go to bed at night without having your phone right beside your pillow. And that's just not a healthy way to live. And I'm not here to preach. I'm here to relate to you. I understand all these 4 quadrants. I have been in every one of these 4 quadrants. I didn't start out as a top producing, super producing agent. I had to work at it. I had to invest in my business. I had to invest time, energy, money. I had to get real. I had to get honest. I had to ask myself, okay, what am I really not doing well? And where do I need to improve? And part of the challenge with each of these quadrants is that whenever you have an imbalance or an insecurity, or a lack of, whether that's personal self-discipline or time management or task management or any of those things, what happens is when there's an imbalance, you will never, ever perform at your peak level. So what you have to do is get honest and say, okay, what are those things that I have to do? So over the years, I've noticed that there are 5 areas that people really struggle with. They fight. They just won't allow themselves to surrender and get these things right. They think they've got, it's good enough. I've got those other things. So let's start with the first one. And the first one is brand development. And brand development isn't just about having something pretty. It's not just the visual. So a visual, for example, here's an example of a visual representation of when somebody's starting to think about a brand. What does that brand mean? You are a brand. You are a commodity. You are the person that's being hired. What are you trying to convey? What colors matter to you? What photography? What images? What is that overall feeling? Who's your client? Where does the client live? What does the client do? What is your generalized target market? Now, we know you can't get so specific because every client's different, but you have to really think about putting together, okay, what are those things that are going to, really convey who I am and what I'm trying to do? The next thing you have to look at is when putting together any kind of a brand, it's not about creating something pretty. It's about creating something that is of benefit to the client, whether that is listing materials, whether that is marketing materials, advertising, lead generation, follow-up, follow-through. What are those client care, ongoing marketing? What are those things that matter so much? So it's really about putting together the full package. What is a brand? And a brand really is something that tells somebody what they can expect when they work with you. Are you organized? Where do you work? What is that experience going to be like when you work with that person? And every person has a different type of brand. Every person has a different personality, so the brand should be different. But the brand needs to convey an experience that that person can expect with you. Here's a great example of a client of ours that was working in the Seattle marketplace and then decided that she needed to go down to Arizona. And it was really a matter of, okay, how do you take somebody, parachute them pretty much from Seattle to Arizona and help them become successful in real estate? What are those elements? And with her, we had to start with her brand, because the brand tells the story of who she is, if she's working with her family, in this case, she's working with her mom and her two sisters, what does that mean for the client? Okay, why does it matter that I'm working with my mom and my sisters? Why does it matter that I do real estate a little different? What are those points of difference? So all those things are critical when you're thinking about your own business, having a brand that is extremely effective for the client. They look at it and they get the experience, they understand it, they get a feeling, okay? Here's another great example of a brand. I absolutely love Lindley's brand. I love it because it tells me a lot about her from her photograph to the simplicity of her design, the modernness of the design, the cleanness, the softness. What I expect when I work with Lindley is that I'm going to get somebody who is honest, trustworthy, takes their time, slows down, isn't pushy, isn't aggressive. That's what this brand tells me. And every person has a different experience when they work with you, a slightly different experience. But the key is for them to understand overall what it is that you offer. So branding is important. Why do most people in real estate not get a brand and they rely on their company brand? Because they don't, and it's scary to some people, they don't necessarily want to name or claim what they stand for. So when I was an active agent selling, my branding and marketing was all about marketing. And I made some very strong claims when I was actively selling real estate. And one of those claims was, no agent out there will do more marketing on your property than I will. Now, that's a pretty strong statement. So then what I had to do is I had to take my brand, create that brand, and I had to create visuals around that so that when I went in listing presentation, I would say, you know, when I said that statement, I'd be able to say, now let me show you what that looks like. So it's not just about telling somebody how great you are and what the great marketing program is that you have. It's then about conveying that with your brand and saying, let me show you the marketing. Let me show you what I do for online marketing. Let me show you what I do for print marketing. Let me show you about some really powerful relationship marketing I do. Let me show you some mass mail marketing I do. So being able to talk to people and to actually show them visual examples, today's consumer wants more from you, and you have to take it to the next level. So without saying, I've always been very strong in branding, but really good agents get it, they understand it, and they have their own brand. They don't just rely on their company brand. Next thing, the next category is client care. They just get it. They understand client care. They know that it is not just a one-time event. They understand that client care comes in 3 different categories. What you do for the client before they're your client, what you do for them during the time they are your client. If somebody's listed with you and they've listed their property with you, they expect a certain level of service. They're under contract. They expect it. But it's what you do before and after that is going to impress that client. So having systems in your business that handle the before, the during, and after. I will say to agents, okay, if I'm a potential buyer, what do you do before I commit to actually writing an offer with you? What does that experience look like? Okay, during, so we're out looking at houses. What does that look like? Okay, now you sold me a house. It's 3 years later. What does that experience look like? If you don't have a system or a program for that, then you have not mastered your client care. So it's really, really important to actually have, again, visuals for that. So let's say, for example, that a client, here's a great example of one of our clients' past client programs. Here is something that once the transaction is over, they don't just stand there. They make sure that they're sending out market reports after. They're doing neighborhood analysis after. They're doing client reviews for them, an in-depth client review on an annual basis. They've got things that they do. It's a system. It becomes like almost like this conveyor belt system that is automatic. And what that does for that client is it keeps that connection. And if I worked with you as an agent and 5 years after you helped me buy my home, you were sending me an update and reminding me that, wow, 5 years ago, you paid $500,000 for your home. Today, this neighborhood, the neighborhood trend right now is over 800. Wow, you've done good. What a great investment. I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of that with you. That's keeping the connection. Now, I have bought and sold a lot of real estate in my life, and I can tell you one thing, and I can say it emphatic, and I can say it with 100% energy. No agent I have ever worked with, even when they know that I am an investor, will probably buy more properties. Not one agent that has ever closed on a transaction with me has ever stayed in touch with me after the transaction's over. They might have for a month or 2 or 3, but never has it ever been long term. So again, what systems do you have to make sure that that client never leaves you? Because it's like a tree. If you don't water that tree, eventually it's going to die. It's like a plant, same thing. But if you've got a branch or a referral from a family, and then that family refers someone else, you have this tree that's thriving and growing, and before you know it, that tree brings you a lot of fruit. But if you don't water it, and one of the challenges is that for many agents, they have not figured out their before, their during, and their after. So that client care portion is critical. You can have the best brand in the world, but if you don't have, again, the personal self-discipline to implement those client care programs, your business will not grow. You will consistently be struggling for every transaction, and you'll get a few referrals and you'll get a few things from the marketing that you do. But if you really want a business where you can guarantee and say, I know that next year I will make more money than I did this year because I have systems that guarantee that. So again, it's the systems that you have to rely on. The next area, which was, again, that first fear that I talked about, the first quadrant, the first issue of insecurity is income insecurity. And the challenge for many agents is that they do not have what I call an attraction formula. So an attraction formula is, in essence, a really strong lead generation program. So what is your lead generation program? What does that look like? So having an attraction formula. And again, an attraction formula is where you have something that you run in your business that is consistent. You can actually calculate almost to the percentage point what the return on that investment will be. So when I think about that, I think about, okay, when an agent is out there trying to bring in consistent income, what does that look like for you? So for example, what do you do on an ongoing basis that is going to guarantee you income? So do you have a faucet? And a faucet is where you actually have a system, a lead generation system in your business that you know and you can guarantee will bring in so many transactions a year. So for me, I had a few of those faucets. I had my faucet, one of my faucets was working expired listings. I knew that if I worked so many expired listings, and I did that consistently each and every month, that I knew that guaranteed at least 3 of my transactions a month, I would get 3 listings a month. And some people would say, wow, 36 listings a year? Absolutely. I also knew that if I cut that number in half, I was maybe lucky to get 1, maybe sometimes 2. Again, it was a numbers game, but I knew what the numbers were. If you don't have a faucet that you can calculate and that you trust and that you know the numbers on, you're going to, again, fall into that income insecurity. Another faucet, geographical farming. And by the way, there is no shortage of great faucets out there. The other thing is you have to decide when you think about your business, what do you prefer doing? If you don't like open houses, if you don't like doing expired listings or geographical farming or any of those things, then why are you doing them? The key is you have to find a faucet that's going to work for you. Some people like doing things live and in person, open houses. Now, it's not that I didn't like open houses, but for me, I found them to be something I could not quantify because I did not know how many people were going to show up at that at the open house. Sometimes I could have done all the best advertising in the world, but it was just the wrong weekend, or the buyer pool just wasn't out there. So for me, I needed something that was more guaranteed, something that I could calculate and guarantee in my business, and I knew the return on the investment. So for me, I did pajama marketing, which was working on my geographical farm. But all of these things, doesn't matter what you choose, it's a matter of, do you have them branded? Are they consistent? Is it something that you do on a regular basis? Have you given it thought? I can't just say I'm going to work expired listings. I've got to sit down and ask the question, okay, if I'm going to work expired listings and there's 10 other people competing against me, how do I win? Okay, if I'm going to send mail out to a geographical farm, and I've got 10 other people competing against me, how am I going to stand out? Okay, if I'm going to work open houses, how am I going to have people walk in and go, whoa, this is a different open house? If I'm going to do online marketing, if I'm going to do social media marketing, if I'm going to have a blog, how do I make it stand out? And that's why, number one, having that brand and doing it right is so important, because you need the visuals around it. If you're going to do an open house, everything needs to be perfect. It needs to be branded. It needs to be where they walk in and go, something is different, right? So important. If you're going to work a particular area, do you have custom branded market watches? Do you have something that's different? And if you're not getting the return on the investment you're making, you've got to sit back and ask yourself why. I always tell people that one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we don't personality proof our mailers, meaning that if there's 4 different personality types, are you making sure that every mailer is targeted to that person, which means you have to personality proof a mailer. You have to look at it and ask, would a promoter like this? Would a controller like this? Would an analytical like it? Would a supporter like it? You have to understand that different personality types need something different. So if you are doing any kind of marketing and mailing to an area that has all the personality types, you need to pay attention to that. If you're doing print marketing, if you're doing luxury marketing, whatever marketing you're doing, you have to understand who that target market is and what it is that they want. If you are targeting an area, let's say that is specifically for seniors, you better be very careful about the colors you use, the font sizes, the font styles, everything. So those things are critically important. Then also, how do you want to market? Some people, for example, here's a great example of a very strong branded vehicle. This has got a vehicle wrap, but look at this, International Home Realty. But not only does it say International Home Realty, but look at it's got another language right on the wrap. So again, what it's doing is it's living and breathing its brand, and it's advertising its brand. Now, for me, I didn't do a car wrap. It wasn't my style. It's not what I want, but I can guarantee this agent is getting business from this. So again, it's because it's not just saying, hi, I sell real estate. It's saying, I sell real estate a little different. I'm international real estate. And this is a really good example of a very, very strong brand. The next area that agents just do not know how to master, they just haven't perfected it yet, is their 7 core transaction systems. Now, in real estate, there are 7 core transactions that happen. It doesn't matter whether you are a new agent, whether you've been in the business for 30 years. These are the things that happen consistently in our business. We get new buyers. We have offers that we negotiate. We take on new listings. And then there's that pending to close process for both a buyer and a seller. How does that look for each of those? Is it different? Is it the same? Also, what happens post-closing for a buyer and a seller? The challenge for most people and most agents is that they wing it. And they seem to reinvent their systems all the time. If I interview 3 buyers of 1 agent, I can promise you and guarantee you that they will probably have a different story about how that experience was. And again, in order to simplify your business and to maximize the results on your investment of time, you have to get systems oriented. So having something where you have those systems in your business, very, very, very critical, very important. So what do you do for that new buyer? You've just met that person. They are thinking about working with you, but how are you going to impress them? What are you going to do? Just keep calling? If I'm that buyer, you're going to just keep calling me, asking me if I want to look at houses? Is that what your process is? If that's what your process is, you're not going to win me over. You have to look at every every one of these processes and ask the question, okay, what am I doing that's different or better, or that will really leave a lasting positive impression on that client? And that's why these 7 systems have to be mastered. And then it becomes just a part of your process. Oh, today I've got 1 new buyer and I've got a buyer that's in the pending to close process. Now you take care of your processes. Then you go to say, okay, now what about that faucet in my business? What do I need to do with that? So again, it's about having a business where you literally now are driven by the tasks of your business, not just by, oh, it's Monday, I guess I must be at the office selling real estate. Oh, it's Tuesday, same thing. Oh, it's Wednesday, I'm working out of my home. Thursday, yeah, same thing. You're working out of your home, but you're not really working, because whether that's at the office or at home, if you don't have those set lists of tasks that you need to get done, you will forever end up in the this constant state of being on. And I tell people, if you got nothing to do, be off. Go enjoy your life, right? And that's the thing, is that we don't know how to do that, because we just think we always have to be on because being on equals money. Well, that's actually not true. Being on does not equal money. I know a lot of agents that spend 40, 60, 80 hours a week working and being on in real estate. They're not making money. A lot of the clients that come to me working a lot of hours. And when I look at how much money they're making less than minimum wage. And I ask, why do you work 60 hours a week if you're not getting 60 hours of pay? So let's first of all cut that down. You don't need to be working 60 hours. It hasn't been benefiting you anyways. And maybe your body is the type of body that needs some rest in there. Maybe your body needs a little fun in there. Maybe your body needs to go visit your sister, brother, aunt, spend more time with your child. Maybe you need that balance, because just because you're putting hours and time in your business does not mean that you are getting that return on the investment. So that's where you have to get things in order, get that brand in order, figure out that lead generation system, understand what those processes are going to be in your business. Really look at, okay, if I'm a client of mine, what is that experience going to feel like? So it's about really mastering the processes and the systems in your business. This is a great example of a really, really good example when we look at a process. Here's an example of, let's say that you are going to work with a potential buyer, or let's say you're going to work with a potential seller. Do you really have the systems in place, the steps in place for that client visually? Do you really have that laid out? And that's part of putting together those 7 processes. Do you have a process for home buying? What does that look like? Do you have any kind of system? How is it different? Is there a way that that person can rate properties? What is that? What does that look like? Also, in terms of at the end of the transaction, what does it look like when the transaction is over? So all of those things are really, really, really critical. Next side of it, which is super important, is number 5, and that is super agents understand. They understand that task management is something that they have to master. And task management is about making sure that you touch something, you touch it once. You have things organized. You have filing systems in place. You work based on a task management system. You don't work based off of a time management system, because you cannot manage time in real estate. And this is what I think is so hard for people to understand, that super producers, the ones that make a lot of money, the ones that really, really get it, are the ones that have figured out that this is a business of processes and tasks. This is a business of systems. This is a business of figuring out what the client wants, understanding what the marketing needs to look like, understanding what that lead generation needs to look like, and then putting together a task management system. And my task management system was very, very simple. It was based on, what do I do based on those 7 activities? So event driven. So an event comes up, a new listing, a new sale, a new pending, an offer. What are those things that have to be done during those events? So event driven activities, or they were task driven activities that had to be done. Were they needing to be done daily, monthly, or yearly? And that's where I would look at every client and every client category and say, okay, what am I doing for my past clients? What does that look like? Do I have to do something for them daily? No, my past clients don't need to hear from me daily. Do I have to do something for them monthly? Yeah, that probably would be good. Or do I need to do something for them on an annual basis? And in that case, that's where you start putting together that task management system. So,
Excuse
go
me.
ahead, Shauna. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question that has been sent in. Here it is.
Okay, perfect.
I make promises to myself that I'm going to get something done, but I don't keep them. There's always some fire to put out and then I forget. Or maybe I didn't really want to do it. How do I do this better?
First of all, what a great question, because I would say that most people listening have that. First of all, if you worked for somebody else and a boss of yours said, I need you to get this done by Friday, you get it done, because there is a consequence, and oftentimes a painful consequence, if you don't get it done. The problem, one of the biggest problems that real estate agents have is there's no accountability. And it's kind of like me when I take on a coaching client. I can have a coaching appointment with them, and let's say our first coaching appointment is next Tuesday. For many of them, they'll send in their introductory questionnaire that I send out to them and the package that I want them to fill out. They might send that to me Monday night, 2 in the morning. They may send it Tuesday morning before that appointment. And then the eager ones will send it in right away. But the reality is that they get it done because there's accountability, right? They've got to talk to someone. That's why it is no coincidence that people that really coach at a high level, and I'm talking about personal one-on-one, I'm not just talking about generic coaching programs where you are asked how many calls you make, because that really is irrelevant. That does not matter. It's not about the calls you make. It's about what's happening to make you money. Is there a result? And what happens is, if you don't have accountability, who are you most likely to disappoint? Probably yourself. So what happens is, first of all, you don't have a system for that. And that's why I tell agents all the time, you need to have a system where you have that accountability to yourself and to your clients. And what I used to do in my business, which forced accountability, is I made promises to clients at listing presentations and buyer appointments that forced me to keep accountable, because I won't let down a client, but I'm more likely to let myself down. So here's an example. I would say at a listing presentation, by the way, I want you to know that every Monday, while your home is listed with me, you're going to get a report. I'm going to send that you get the report Monday morning, no later than 12 o'clock, no later than noon, and in it, it will show you everything I've done that week to market your home. Any showings, any feedback. If I'm having a hard time getting feedback, I'm going to let you know that. Anything that has come on the market that's new that we need to look at, or because now it's competition, you will get a complete report, a market report, a marketing report, a communication report, and a feedback report from me on Monday morning. So you're going to get a 4-tiered report from me. You're going to know everything that's been done in your property. Now, why that worked so well for me is because what did it do? It forced accountability. I made a promise to that seller. So I always tell agents, if you are not good at personal promises to yourself, just make a promise to a client and you will do it. So in my business, I made systems where I made promises. So for example, in my own business, I promised to get my Zebra report out on Thursday, which means I'm going to get the Zebra report out on Thursday. You guys expect it. When I was actively selling, I'm doing a Monday morning report for all of my sellers. Also for my buyers, I would let them know, I'm going to, before you even think about going into the weekend, every week by Thursday afternoon, I'm going to send you a report. So I would send reports out to buyers. That gave me the week, that Monday afternoon, Tuesday and Wednesday, to really be out there scouring the market. And I'd be sending them little video clips. I would send them photographs. I would put together PowerPoints and make notes on them and then save it as a PDF and send it to them. I would always make sure that my buyers got something visual. So if you can't keep a promise to yourself, then make those promises within the system so that you then know, okay, as long as I get these mailings done every month, as long as I get this stuff done on an annual basis, and these are the things I get done weekly, and then have a time for all those things that you love to procrastinate about on a weekly basis, have a time when you get those done. So for me, many of you know I do an hour power every day, and that's because at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if I've got a task to do, I don't want to necessarily do it because I'd rather be connecting with my clients and talking to my clients. So I do all of that kind of stuff, the stuff I don't want to do and I don't want to distract me from my client things, I'll do that first thing in the morning. So if you can't keep a promise to yourself, please make promises within your business model, right? So that's why that's so important. Shauna, how's that?
That was excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so why is it so hard for agents to get there? I've got agents on this line right now that have been in the business for probably 6 months, 6 years, 20 years, 30 years. Why is it so hard in real estate for us to master this? What is the problem? What is it about real estate that creates this? Well, first of all, mostly it's because of ego. People, when they get into real estate, think that they have to know everything, they have to be perfect, that I've been in the business 15 years, I should know this. I am not going to admit to anybody that my database is a disaster. I'm not going to tell anybody that I've been in the business for 15 years and I make less money today than I've ever made in my life. I'm not going to do that. So it's an ego thing, right? So that's the problem, is that we have ego. So we are afraid to admit where we really need to surrender. And I'll tell you, the best things I've ever done in my business have been where I've surrendered and said, I'm not that good at that. I need some help. And when you get that help, you just feel such a sense of relief. So ego gets in the way. No doubt about it. The next reason why we really just can't master it and get there is because we're afraid of the process. It might be, oh my gosh, I'm not that good at technology. I know if I get into this, I'm going to have to learn that. I'm afraid of that. I'm not good at that. And we tell ourselves we can't, or we're afraid of it. And the thing is that I will promise you that the things that you master that were the hardest are the things that you are most proud of. I have agents that have come to me that have been in huge amounts of debts. I'm talking huge. And they've been afraid of, first of all, their ego got in the way. They're even afraid to admit that I'm in real estate. I don't own my own home yet. I'm in real estate. I owe the IRS money. I'm in real estate. I don't even know how to manage my finances. They were afraid of the process, but they surrendered and said, help me, Denise. And then I was able to help them. And at the end of it, let me tell you, what they were most afraid of, they now have mastered, they're good at, they respect, and it's changed their world. The other thing is people are afraid to invest. Now, they're not afraid to invest at the $49 level. Yeah, I will $49 myself to death in real estate. Do you know how many clients that come to me when I look at their money? Because that's really one of the first things I want to know is, how are you doing? Like, is this business giving you the money that you really need to have in order to give up that amount of your life? I've got agents that come to me that are working 80 hours a week and they're making $35,000 a year. And when I sit down and talk to them and let them know that after they pay all their fees, they're actually paying money to be in real estate. The only thing is they're not really getting the deductions for it, and they could really be making money if they weren't working, or they could make more money if they were to change what they're doing. But what happens is I look at their finances and they're $49-ing themselves to death. Oh, I've got a $49 subscription for this lead generation system. I'm paying $89 for this. I'm paying $69 for this. I'm paying $49 for this. And really, where's the return on that investment? So people are afraid to invest, but they're not afraid to really see their money dwindle away. If you really are going to take your business to the next level, you're going to have to invest. You may have to invest in great coaching. And I'm not talking about cookie cutter coaching. I'm talking about one-on-one, where someone really is telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. They're helping you to make the changes. They're guiding you and showing you. Also, you have to let go of that ego. You have to say, okay, I surrender. What's not working for me? How can I make it better? And the other area that people, and I see this all the time, they procrastinate. I've had clients that have come to me after 7 years of procrastination. And then 6 months into our coaching, they've said, I don't know why I waited so long. What was wrong with that? And procrastination is a very common part of our society. Procrastination is just something that we do. But one of the things I tell agents is that it's really, really important that if you want to take your business to the next level, you absolutely have to, you got to let go of the belief that you are perfect. The other thing is that everyone has a different success recipe. The reason I tell people that generic coaching doesn't work is because I don't believe it does. And the reason I know that is because I have so many clients that have come to me that have done 3 or 4 or 5 coaching programs. Well, a coaching program that is designed as a perfect model on paper doesn't necessarily translate as the perfect model for you, because what about your personality type? What about your life? I mean, I've got clients that are taking care of parents. I've got clients that have 4 children. I've got clients that have just gone through a divorce. I've got clients that have got health issues. How does that all factor in, right? So that's why every person out there, everything has to be and when you're thinking about changing your business, you have to also look at your life and say, okay, what limitations do I have, or what limitations don't I have? What do I require? Do I need to make 100,000 or do I need to make 500,000? Like, where are you trying to go? Are you going to New York or are you going to Italy? Right? It's a totally different set of things you're going to have in your suitcase. So again, it's like having that business suitcase. What are you going to have in the suitcase? And that's really dependent on where you're going. Also, you may be someone that maybe you just need a brand. That's all you need. Maybe you just need a few systems. You've got things pretty much under control. You're taking good care of your clients, but your branding's a little bit weak. You may need someone to look at your whole business and really provide a really thorough, honest, comprehensive solution for you. And that's something that I've done for years, and sometimes people love what I have to say, and sometimes they don't, because sometimes the truth hurts. If somebody is making $50,000 a year and they're working 80 hours a week, part of that solution is you need to stop working 80 hours a week. Immediately, you need to retrain your body not to be at the office 12 hours a day. It's ridiculous. It's not healthy for you. And when you can give up some of that, you leave your world and your life open to be not so tired and exhausted that maybe you will pick up that client, right? Also, you may need someone to give you your own custom recipe. And I will tell you that no two of my clients have the same recipe, because no two of my clients are the same. And it's really, that's where I think that's where the difference is for most agents that take their business to the next level, is they really plan a business model that works for them. Sean, I think you were going to butt in there. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. I do have some questions, but continue your thought.
Perfect. Okay, well, those are some of my main thoughts. I would, I think that, for years, that's where we as a company have come in. Obviously, that's what we do. That is our main thing, is taking an agent, looking at their business, their personal world, their personality, their life restrictions, their limitations, their talents. And that's another thing too, is some people just are more talented in certain areas. You want to absolutely utilize that. Other agents have different challenges that we have to, really plan around, I guess is a really good way to say it. But I will tell you one thing, everybody out there should have the ability to take their business to the next level, but you have to be honest and really look at your business from as an objective a viewpoint as you possibly can, because today's client is, I tell you what, they're educated. They want what they want. There's so much competition out there. Now we are being hit on for commissions and fees. And I'll tell you, my clients are telling me every day that they go to a listing presentation, and the question they get asked, one of the most common questions is, okay, how little can you do this for? How much of your commission can you cut? Now, how do you respond to that? You better have a very strong presentation, and you better know your business and know your limitations about what you will and will not do, and how that may or may not benefit that client. You better be able to articulate that. And if you can't, you will lose at listing presentation. So I don't want my clients to do that. I want you listening to know that you can have the ability to go from being an average agent, or from where you're at right now, to being a super producer, but you define what that means. And if a super producer is, I want more life, then you get more life. If a super producer is, I want to make more money, then for goodness sake, stop working 80 hours a week, maybe work 40 and make the money that you deserve to make, because nobody has proven to me yet that simply time invested in real estate equals more money. Proper tasks, proper systems, and proper service equals more money, but not just an investment of time, because I've got too many agents that I've met over the years that have said to me, that's all I do. I work 7 days a week. I'm making $50,000 a year, and I've got to pay my brokerage half of that. I'm not making any money, and they're basically living at the poverty level. That's not effective real estate. There is another way. Go ahead, Sean. I know you have a couple questions.
I do. I have 4 questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up and talk about next steps. Okay,
Perfect.
so here's number 1. What is the hour of power? It sounds like a workout routine.
That's cute. So an hour of power is basically, I do it every morning. in Hour Power is where, and we've got information on our website about this too, and through Club Zebra. So in Hour Power is where I spend an hour every day, and that's that time where I don't connect with clients. I'm connecting with my projects, my processes, my tasks. So let's say today somebody says to me, Denise, I need you to write an article. Terrific. I write it on a piece of paper. Denise, you need to write an article about productivity. Excellent. I put that in my Hour Power book. I basically set it, I forget it until the Hour Power time. If in my day, because my day is most productive when I'm talking and consulting and coaching clients, I want, and yours should be too, that the client connectivity is critical. I want to use my time during my work day connecting with people. So that hour that I take in the morning, and I do my Hour Power fairly early in the morning, I will work on personal tasks, business tasks. So maybe it could be writing a grocery list, it could be paying my bills, but everything is done during that Hour Power. And the reason I do it Monday to Friday. I don't do it if I'm away from home. I don't do it if I don't basically wake up on my pillow is my rule, but I do an Hour Power to keep all those tasks and projects done in a time where it's quiet. I can really process. I'm not going to write a good article when there's interruptions in the middle of the day, but when I start my day off early, and I've got a quiet office environment, nobody's bugging me, I'm not looking at email, I'm not talking to people, I'm not taking calls, making calls, that's where I become very, very, very productive. So that's the Hour Power.
Awesome. Okay. How can I learn more about making my marketing appeal to more people?
So you have to, that's a great question. There's 4 different personality types, and each personality type requires something different, okay? You have to, I always say to people, I don't necessarily think we need to learn everything about everything, but I think we need to have the right people in our corners. So, I've got an engineer I work with, for example, I just adore him. I don't really need to know how to draw lots on a piece of land that I'm developing. I leave it to him. He's an expert. So that's where, as our company, for example, we really work on and specialize in when you mail something out, when you send something out, when you put something on paper, how is that going to appeal to the different personality types? And we have 2 types of people. We have people that are very visual, and then we have people that require a lot more data and a lot more messaging, right? So headlines are important, visuals are important, the data that you provide is important. Absolutely, if you want help with that, just please be in touch, because that's an area that we are very passionate about.
Awesome. Okay. The brand, and this is referring to the branding examples that we showed earlier. Okay, those examples look great, but are they real? They look like a lot of work. I can't write about myself like those agents.
I agree. I can't write about myself either. So work with experts that do it. I'm not saying that creating these type of materials are something you need to do, but if you really want to have those things, you have to invest in your business. You can't just, okay, now I'm going to learn to be a graphic designer. Now I'm going to learn the ins and outs of marketing. I don't think you should do that. I think what you have to do is put the right people on your team and absolutely, spend the time, the energy, and the money to do it. And that means really allowing someone to ask the question, okay, what's the experience like when someone works with you? And how do you want to be remembered as an agent? And what are the things that are important to your clients out there? And let's convey that in the visuals. But no, I don't want anyone out there pretending to, expecting to, or even attempting to be doing any kind of advanced marketing. And it's not just pretty things. It's not graphic design. It's what's the marketing message? Why does that font need to be that certain way for that person, right? Why does it need to be like that? So it's really about investing the time and money and the search out, find a company or find someone that you trust that has had a proven result in that. And that's another thing. Results matter, longevity matters. Talk to clients that have worked with these different companies. And sure, we'd love to talk to you and help you, but honestly, I tell people it is, check it out, check the companies out carefully before you invest another dollar in your business.
Okay, I've actually got 2 more questions. So here's a good one. What is a good lead generation system that is worth spending money on? Lead generation sites, cloud CMA, email marketing, what do you think?
I think that the best lead generation systems are not where you're just paying to play. Haven't shown to be effective. I've got clients that are doing online lead generation and are not having the success they want. I absolutely believe the best lead generation systems are where you have to do more research, put more time in, and they're more micro markets, whether that is a particular target age group, a particular target neighborhood, a particular niche market. I think niche marketing, and whether that's through doing something mailing or whether that's doing something online social media, but you've got to really target. So target marketing for me is definitely the most effective.
All right. Okay, last question, and then we'll go ahead and talk about next steps. I hate being asked to reduce commission, but I don't know what to say except a lame, that's how I cover my costs. Any suggestions?
Yeah, I think that most consumers are going to ask that question if they think you're the same as everyone else. If somebody asks me to cut commission, the most important thing I want to do is address it and say, you're asking to cut commission because you're concerned about money, and that's a really good concern. So let's address it. Let's really look at the results of what I have done with my clients versus generally what's happening out there. And you better know your numbers. You better know your list to sell price ratio. You better be able to show how your marketing has sold houses in a less amount of time and for more money. And if you don't have those stats, that's really the only answer you have. So when I sat down with my clients, I was able to say to them, I want to show you something really interesting. I want to show you why I do this kind of marketing that I do. I want to show you the results it's gotten for my other clients. I want to show you challenges I've had with other listings, how we've overcome those challenges. So again, it's about putting together that really powerful presentation, and really from powerful presentations and powerful marketing. And a lot of agents just say, oh yeah, I do great marketing. Well, really, they're doing the same as everyone else. Are you really doing anything better than the competition? And do you have proof that that actually has done something for you and for your client? So you need to get to work, basically. I tell my clients, let's get to work. Let's start creating those stats, creating those experiences, creating that great marketing, and then let's track the result for the client. Because when you have that result, results are hard to argue with, right? Results are very hard to argue with.
Awesome. Okay, I think people are asking about how to take the next step. So let's go ahead and move to that.
Okay, so if you want help in your business and you're like, I really want some help. I don't know, I really don't know where to go or where to begin. We absolutely, we're here to help you. So I think it's really important if you've got a little bit of time in your business in the next week, just book a complimentary consultation. I'll talk to you for 20-25 minutes. I will find out a little bit about where you're at in your business, where you want to be in your business, and I'll give you some really honest feedback about the next steps that you should take, whether that is with us, whether that is with your business. I've had clients that I've talked to that I've said, you know what, you're right on track. I think at this point in your business, there's only a couple things you need to tweak. A lot of clients that I talk to, they really need some really strong solutions, but we can't answer that if we don't talk to you.
Well, thank you both very much, Denise. I know you have inspired some people to take some positive action today. And so if you attendees have been watching thinking that maybe you're missing the system or that, or maybe your business has those things but just needs a little bit of polish, we really are here to help.
Fabulous.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we are all looking forward to chatting with you soon.
Fabulous. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.